Go ahead. All right, welcome to Sports Talk with Dylan Marsh. We are back again, and now we have a full sports coverage podcast for you here. I'm, as always, joined with my brother, JD.
What's going on, y'all?
And now our newest guest, who seems he's going to be staying on for a lot longer, Garrett
Reoccurring
Thacker.
guest.
Yes, and so we've got a good one here, I believe. And we're going to start off talking about the 5 Heisman finalists who were finally decided to get an invite to New York. And finally, Baker Mayfield, last year after being snubbed, is going with his duo in Dede Westbrook, both from Oklahoma, both having crazy good years. And then also, for no doubt, Lamar Jackson, quarterback from Louisville. Then you also have Deshaun Watson, quarterback from Clemson. And also the crazy athletic, the insane Jabril Peppers from Michigan. And, he basically plays every position imaginable besides kicker and punter. Actually, he might do that too. I have no idea. But, guys, let's start the show off. And there's a lot of discussion. Who deserves the Heisman Trophy? Of course, Lamar's stats say he deserves it, but he has not been playing extremely well, or as well as he usually has at the beginning of the year, these past about 4 games. So let's start with JD. Who do you think deserves the Heisman right now?
Well, I can tell you who I think is going to win it, and I think it's going to be Lamar.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, everybody.
Okay, yeah. Who do you think deserves it? You can look at stats. You can look at, latest performances as well, like late season performances.
Give us an unbiased opinion.
Exactly.
Unbiased opinion. I mean, everybody's going to think this is biased, but I think it should be Baker because
just explain it.
He's completing 71% of his passes the whole season, which leads the FBS. He has the most touchdown passes. If I'm not right about that, don't correct me.
Mm-mm.
He's not right.
No, he has the highest completion percentage.
Okay, well, he has the highest completion percentage. He's at least top 5 in pass touchdowns and pass yards. And what's also impressive, not just his 71% completion percentage, also his 75% completion percentage on 30 yards or more down the field. And that just really stands out to me. And he hardly makes mistakes.
That's true, yes.
Unlike Lamar Jackson of late.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe he deserves it more than Lamar. But Deshaun, I can't really make a case for him because his defense has put him in bad spots, and he hasn't really thrived in those situations.
Yeah, I hear you. I'll go ahead and say mine. Of course, you look at statistically, Lamar Jackson. He's a sophomore, which means we have one more year of this.
Yeah,
we have one more year of Lamar Jackson and one more year of Louisville being overhyped. But I think next year is going to be a year. No offense, Garrett, like Texas A&M, where you have the star quarterback who can do anything imaginable. And then they just don't have as good as a season as they did before. But, for close to 5,000 yards total with 3,300 passing yards and 1,500 rushing yards. And that's insane. 51 total touchdowns with 30 passing, 21 rushing. So you look at the stats, and that's Heisman worthy, of course. But then you go back and watch these past 4 games, and whenever he was shut down by Houston and shut down by who was it? I keep forgetting. I get Houston and Louisville mixed up. Who did they lose to? It wasn't Memphis.
Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky.
Yes. When he went up against a average SEC defense, or maybe a below average SEC defense, he had 400 yards, but he didn't win.
Mm-hmm.
And I think besides Johnny Manziel, winning is a huge part of the Heisman. And so maybe that's not a factor with Lamar, with maybe that going to happen with Lamar, and he maybe doesn't have to win because of his outstanding stats. But I think, not being biased, because I'm not picking an Oklahoma player, and if I had to say who do I think deserves the Heisman, it's Jabril Peppers. Jabril Peppers plays over 80% of the snaps of each Michigan game. He's played, I think, 15 different positions, 12 or 15, but I think it's 15. And yes, he doesn't have outstanding stats. Zach, scroll down to Jabril Peppers for me. And the reason he doesn't have great stats is, well, one, if you have someone with the name of Jabril Peppers, and everyone knows when you hear that name as a coach, you're like, okay, stay away from him. You do not want to throw to Jabril Peppers. So, yeah, he only has 1 interception on the year, but who's going to throw to Jabril Peppers? That dude is so freakishly athletic. These coaches don't want to do that. He has 751 all-purpose yards, 310 punt return yards, 210 kick return yards, 167 rushing, 11 interception yard. That was on his one interception, and 3 receiving yards. Okay, but he also has 4 sacks, 16 tackles for loss, and 72 tackles, which is I believe second on Michigan's team. So yes, his stats
on
are
a
not
good
impressive.
defense.
Yes, so his stats are not impressive, JD. But when you look at it, the dude's on the field 80% of the game, and having that much stamina and being that part of he's that team. You know, I watched an interview where he said he goes from special team walkthroughs to defensive walkthroughs and then goes straight to offensive walkthroughs the day before a game. And so he never has time to sit and watch film of one certain side of the football. He's got to watch it on every side of the ball. He has such a high football IQ. You know, it's just one of the things where, you know, he's not going to win because he doesn't have great stats. But you look at him, he hustles. He's a hard worker, and you can't tell me he's not a hard worker if he plays 12 different positions. So I think Peppers deserves it, but if I had to choose an Oklahoma player, I'd honestly say D.D. Westbrook. I think there's no one close to him in the receiving category. You know, hey, show me D.D.'s stats right there. This guy's having an unbelievable season. You know, he's basically almost half the yardage for Baker Mayfield. He's got close to 1,500 yards receiving, 16 touchdowns on 74 catches. I don't think there's a lot of people close to him in the NCAA, you know, anywhere near, you know, tracking him. It's just he's outstanding this year. And coming from OU fans, it came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It really did, because we thought we were going to have a terrible receiving core losing Sterling Shepard. Then D.D. Westbrook comes along and has a better season he ever had. So, Garrett, who do you think deserves it?
Yeah, I like D.D. too, and the thing with that is you don't get Baker without D.D. and you don't get D.D. without Baker, and
Exactly.
that's my only problem with the two Oklahoma guys is that I think that if one deserves it, the other deserves it just as much.
Yeah, exactly,
and,
like I was saying. It's almost half of
right,
Baker's yards.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and there's no question about it that the year that he's had, but I think when you look at a Heisman winner, and you look at, like we were just talking about before we started, you know, Manziel, Cam Newton, Mariota, Jameis, those quarterbacks, they all have some crazy playmaking ability. When the play starts to collapse and the pocket starts to collapse around him, they can get out of the pocket and they can make a 30 or 40-yard pass down the field to an open guy. They just make it work. Mm-hmm. And no, Manziel didn't have 2 perfect seasons, and he was a finalist both of those years. And Jameis definitely deserved it the second year over him. But that first year, when you watched him play in games, I mean, it felt like he had a SportsCenter top 10 play every single week almost. And that's my thing with Lamar Jackson. I think that Lamar Jackson will win, but I do agree with you. I think it should be Peppers, and that's only because, like you said, his stats aren't like Lamar's or like Deshaun's or like Baker's or Didi's, but he has an impact on on all 3, you know, parts of the game. I mean, you can't punt to him.
He puts the intimidation factor into where it changes the course of the game.
Exactly. You can't. I mean, it's almost like Darrelle Revis in his prime when he was out there. You can't throw to that side of the field.
Yeah.
You just can't throw it over there because he is either going to shut down your receiver. He only has 1 interception, I know, but that's because they don't throw it to his side of the field. That's almost like Christian Kirk, too. They don't punt the ball to him. The punter is supposed to punt it out of bounds instead of giving it to him because he can bring it to the house.
Yeah.
And I think Lamar will win because he's flashy and because, you know, he brings that playmaking ability to the table. But I like Peppers too because of the insane impact that he has on all 3 sides of the ball, and it's just it's crazy. I think that when he's on offense, he's mainly used as a decoy because if they see number 5 coming out there, they're going to say, okay, if he's getting the ball, we have to shut him down immediately, or he's going to take it to the house.
Yeah. I was about to make that point. I love that point right there. Yeah, there are plenty of times. Again, that's why he only has around. I forgot he's not on stats anymore, but I think it was around like 200, 300 yards rushing, 167 yards rushing.
Yeah.
And if he was a pure running back, I'm pretty sure he'd be about an 800-yard rusher. He's not really big, but he'd be a good 800-yard rusher in that offense probably. And so, yeah, he's used as a decoy, and on defense, it's just straight. If he's not running the quarterback, he's in coverage. You're not going to throw it to him.
I mean, when's the last time we saw somebody who could do it all? When's the last time we saw somebody who could play on both sides?
2 people to play for Michigan.
Right.
With
right.
Charles Woodson and...
Yeah, exactly.
What's the dude's name on College Game Day?
Desmond Howard.
Desmond Howard, yes. He was a Heisman winner. Exactly what Pepper is, yes.
They could come
y'all
on
are forgetting
both
about
sides.
the biggest of them all, primetime Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
That's true.
Somebody like that.
I'm
He
talking
could
about
play
people from
both
Michigan.
sides of the ball. You're not going to throw it to his side of the field on defense, and you also have to, start panicking when you see him out there lining up in the backfield or lining up in the slot, even lining up on the outside, because he could run a go route and be gone. And he can do it all, and that's why I think that he deserves it.
Yeah.
I do like Deshaun Watson because of all 5 of these guys, his team has done the best so far this season. He's been, in my mind, he's the best leader on any team in the country. I think that if they did Heisman's and if they did the award show after all the games are done and after the national championship and after the January 6th games, I think Deshaun would win because, in my opinion, I think Clemson has the best chance to beat Alabama. I don't think they will, but I think that they will put up a good game if they can get past Ohio State first and if Alabama beats Washington. So, yeah, that's the only thing with Deshaun Watson is he's a leader. He's got the stats. He doesn't make many mistakes either, and his team is in the best position to, end up with a much better season than the rest of these guys.
Yeah. And one more quick question about the Heisman. Johnny Manziel had the busted play touchdown against Alabama.
Yeah.
And Jameis Winston had the crazy comeback against, I think it was Louisville.
Mm-hmm.
And Cam Newton had a crazy comeback against Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
But if you look at it, we were making a case for Jabril. He doesn't really have a Heisman moment.
Right.
But if you look at it, Lamar Jackson's Heisman moment, like if you have a moment of insane athleticism or insane, this guy is the best player in the country, that was week 1 when you heard the dude from Syracuse,
the hurdle, yeah.
Or he had those 9 touchdowns in 2 games or however many touchdowns it was. But then you have Deshaun Watson who led his team against the mighty Louisville Cardinal and the mighty Lamar Jackson, who everyone thought was invincible. Then you also have D.D. Westbrook, who I think for 2 games straight had 3 touchdowns, I believe. So,
like I said, that goes to Baker also.
Yeah, and Baker, just shifting around, and we never really had to have a comeback. You never really had to have a comeback, but Deshaun Watson, I think, has the best Heisman moment of them all with beating Louisville and how much hype it was and how great of a game it was, the best game of the year. And so I think that's the Heisman moment that should win the Heisman because you have a guy in here who beat who everyone wants to be the Heisman, outplayed him statistically as well. And yes, Louisville's got a good defense, and so does Clemson. So I think you should put that in perspective and think, okay, they're not the same defense, but they actually went up against each other in a game to where a Heisman winner would come out on top or perform a lot better. So let's transition from the Heisman to the players who have already said they're declaring for the NFL draft. And coming out today, Christian McCaffrey from Stanford, who has not had any attention at all because Stanford just does not have the offensive line that they had last year. McCaffrey says he's going to the NFL early this year. So then you also have Deontay Foreman from Texas is leaving early. Then you have Leonard Fournette, which is definitely the best running back in the draft. And then Wayne Gallum, running back from Clemson. Mike Williams, running back from receiver from Clemson. Deshaun Watson, quarterback from Clemson. So hopefully Clemson's going to be able to, maybe not.
Arterius Scott too.
Clemson's losing a lot of players this year.
Or Tavis.
So I think it might be I think it might be this year or not for a while for Clemson. Maybe they're recruiting great. I'm really not exactly sure. But then you also have Charles Walker, defense lineman from Oklahoma.
Is Dalvin Cook going?
Dalvin Cook is going too.
I think that he may end up having a better NFL career than Leonard.
Yeah,
now it depends on where he
right
goes.
My next question was, who do you think is going to be which players do you think is going to transition well into the NFL? And I'm going to sit there and I'm going to say both of them. I'm going to say Leonard Fournette and Dalvin Cook at the running back position are going to definitely just, I'm not going to say they're going to light it up. One of them might have a great rookie year. They're not going to have Ezekiel Elliott numbers because right now, the last mock draft I looked at, if the season ended now, the Jets would have the 4th overall pick. And the Jets, and that predicted Leonard Fournette to go to the Jets, which I don't think would work out well at all. With, at least they'd have to build a line around him. If they want to build a franchise around Leonard Fournette, he's got to get that ankle surgery and make sure that he's not going to have a chronic ankle injury all the time. But then you also have Dalvin Cook, who I saw, and I think it would fit well because he can catch out of the backfield, but go into Detroit.
Yeah.
And I think if
they
he
like
goes
to use
Detroit,
those kind of guys like
and
Theo.
he can catch, but then he's also a running back that Detroit's never really had since like Barry Sanders.
Mm-hmm.
This is a type of guy who loves to run people over. He can escape tackles. We've seen that all these past 4 years. And Dalvin Cook started as a freshman when Jameis Winston was a freshman. So it's just one of those things to where he's very mature. He knows what he's doing. He's coached by Jimbo Fisher, one of the best coaches in the league. I think it's going to be him and Leonard Fournette at the running back position to transition well. What do you think?
I guess it
right
was
now?
the Browns, yeah. And then I guess it was Leonard Fournette going to the Panthers maybe. I think the Panthers are going to have a top 10 pick.
Maybe.
Anyways, yeah, I saw that that the Panthers are looking hard at Leonard Fournette, maybe going to try to trade up for him. I think that if he went there, he could do pretty well because Jonathan Stewart has been poised to have good seasons. Mm-hmm. He's just not that good a running back.
But I think right now, let's go ahead and before we get to the quarterbacks, let's go ahead and go to defensive line. And you said Myles Garrett, and that dude is a freak of nature.
Mm-hmm.
Then you want to hear another.
You don't
freak
have
of
to tell
nature.
me.
Another freak of nature is Jonathan Allen from Alabama.
Yeah.
Who everyone is assuming he's going to go to the NFL after this. And
that's the most athletic defensive tackle I think I've ever seen.
That guy,
other than maybe
guy to go
Ndamukong
get a sack.
Suh. Yeah.
And
yeah,
it's
that
just one of
play he
those-
made on Trevor Knight against us, that was wild.
Yeah.
I mean, that was nuts.
But then you also have Jamal Adams from LSU, the safety, who looks like he's an NFL player out there right now with how he plays and how he finds the football. If you watch an LSU football game, Jamal Adams is on almost every single play with Tre'Davious White as well. Tre'Davious White graduating. Tre'Davious White is a heck of a safety.
318.
You had those two safeties in the backfield. I don't see how you lose 4 games. I guess the offense has got to do something too. But with that defense and losing those 2 safeties is going to be a huge loss for LSU.
Tre'Davious plays corner mostly too, I think.
Yeah, but
still,
later on in the
two
season,
of those defensive
when
backs,
Orgeron took over, he played safety a lot too. So
he's wild, man.
he's just one of those.
You can't kick to him either. You can't kick to him.
No, he can't, or because he's going to either return it for a touchdown or muff it.
Yeah.
But let's go to the receivers. What receiver do you think is going to transition the most? And I think it's going to be Mike Williams from Clemson.
Yeah, me too.
What I saw was it a couple weeks ago. We had those 3 touchdown catches. One of them was just an absolute insane over the shoulder catch in the corner of the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
You can't teach that. You cannot teach that. Go ahead.
Sorry, they've had who? DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, Sammy Watkins.
Now
Mike Williams.
And now Mike Williams. And Artavis Scott.
Yeah.
They always have some big-name wide receiver come out and immediately do well in the NFL. DeAndre Hopkins came in and was the number 2 behind Andre Johnson, but made Andre Johnson have a better season too because they really couldn't just shut down Andre because they had to worry about DeAndre too.
Yeah.
And you really can't do anything about Sammy when he's healthy. He's he's a top 10 wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah.
And I mean that it's awesome how Clemson keeps producing these wide receivers, and I agree with you. I think Mike Williams will be the best wide receiver coming out of this draft. I think he'll be a top 15 pick for sure.
Okay. Well, JD, I'm going to ask you this question because you've actually been pretty good with this, of what I remember.
Into an NFL defense. Okay, if you look how
could they beat the Browns?
No.
Sorry.
I don't know.
No, I don't
I'm
think
not
they
going to
could.
answer
I had
that.
to throw that in there.
I don't think they could.
Okay, yeah,
over
but
his
what I'm
shoulder.
saying is if you that's the closest thing
Right,
to
I
an
agree with
NFL
you.
linebacker, and if he can't get
Is between stats last year as a freshman he had 187 attempts, over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns. Sophomore year, which is last year, 300 attempts, 1,900
Yeah.
Well, you can't
and-
do that.
I'm sorry, to Alabama defense. And so when you said you had an Alabama linebacker coming at you, you can't bust him off. He could probably do that, but not when 2 or 3 of them are ganged up on him, posting it outside. So I think he's going to be okay if he takes the coaching, because he's going to the NFL, and these coaches don't take crap at all. Hold on. But he's going to get – they're not going to take crap from him like that, because he's not going to be a superstar to these coaches as soon as he gets in the league. So they're going to make sure that he follows his blocks, and I think he's going to be okay. I'm not going to say he's going to be dominant, but I think he's going to transition well if he can follow what the coaches are telling him to do.
Okay, well, you're saying bust. Like, okay, what I was thinking by bust mean like the hype they have coming into the NFL draft, what the expectation is. Yes, I believe he will be, but I think he'll have a decent.
But the expectation
career.
from everybody is his sophomore year. That's
Yeah,
what
that's
everyone's
I'm saying.
expecting.
Like, it's
going to
be a bust compared to that.
I think what he did, the example you gave, him not following his block, him trying to get to the outside and make a play on his own. That's what it looks like to me. He's trying to prove that he can make that big play on his own, and that he can get around that linebacker or that defensive end or that corner safety on his own and not have to have help from someone. And I think that's him trying to show, okay, I can do it now. I can do it in the NFL. I think that was him trying to impress any scouts or basically anyone at home that was watching and say, okay, look, I am as good as everyone thinks I am. Well, I'm better than everyone thinks I am. And I'm not saying that he's cocky about it. I know that he's aware of his abilities, and he knows how good he is and the potential he has to do something special in the NFL. And I think that he got a little, and I think that's what hurt him.
Exactly. But what quarterback do you think with Deshaun Watson, with about him?
Yeah.
But then you have someone like a Heisman winning quarterback named like Tim Tebow, or and then you have Christian McCaffrey, a big star, known. Mm-hmm. And you go into the NFL, and these coaches they're drafting them for what they saw in the college level.
Right.
And so, if you do go to a team like Belichick, who doesn't give a crap who you are, and he will sit there.
He looks at your athletic ability, not how good you are at your position.
Basically, say Tim Tebow goes to the Broncos, and look at that. The mock draft, they have Christian McCaffrey going 30th to New England.
I like that.
And you got.
I think that's logical.
But then you have like the Broncos and Tim Tebow, and then Tim Tebow not wanting to transition to be a tight end. Well, you heard the media say they should transition to a tight end. That's not the reporters saying, oh, he should play tight end, because that's what they say. They have sources from people who've played in the league, who coached, even coaches themselves saying, if he transitioned to tight end, we'd sign him.
Yeah.
But he was too, I don't want to say ignorant for his own talent. He stuck to what he wanted to do because he knew that's what he succeeded in college.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it was. And so I just don't see how, I really hope he's not a bust. I really like him. He's a really fun to watch.
Yeah, he's
go ahead.
Crazy athletic.
Oh, quarterback? Which one do you think is going to succeed?
Who do you think is going to be a bust at the quarterback, all the quarterback picks in this draft? Like Mitch Trubisky, Deshaun Watson.
I think, honestly,
Dylan Marsh.
I don't think any of them are going to be out of those three. I don't think any of them are going to be bust.
You don't think so?
I think Trubisky will be decent. I'll tell you the one that I think.
I like what I see right there on this draft. They have Trubisky going 9th overall to Arizona, to where he will be behind Carson Palmer for another year or two.
The one, if this is correct, the one that will be a bust. Where's Deshaun Watson at?
You got Deshaun Kaiser going to Chicago.
Deshaun Watson's not going to be a first rounder, I don't think.
If Deshaun Kaiser goes to
there's Deshaun Watson right there. San Fran. Looks like
I've heard that a lot. I've heard that David Kelly likes what he's doing.
Okay.
Or Chip Kelly's doing. Not David Kelly.
I think if Deshaun Kaiser doesn't go to Chicago, I think he'll have an excellent career, because he reminds me so much of Russell Wilson.
Deshaun Kaiser, isn't he tall?
No.
That's the left-handed one, the Malik dude, or Zeke. Yeah. Something like that. Anyways.
Well, Deshaun Kaiser reminds me so much of Russell Wilson and how poised he is.
Yeah.
And can escape pressure, better career if he doesn't go to Chicago.
Okay. Well,
hey, Zach, go back up to the first round.
35th pick overall, predicted to be some dude named Taco.
Oh, he's really good. That's what I was going to say, too. I couldn't remember his name. Yeah, Taco Charlton, the defensive end for Michigan. He's helped Jabril out a lot because he is whatever he's got going on with himself. I think that he could have been a top 6 or 7 quarterback in the NFL without a doubt. They've got New Orleans at 13. I'm a big Saints fan, picking Adoree Jackson. I really like that. I think he's a really good playmaker, and we need defense. But I think that New Orleans needs to get a quarterback. And if Trubinsky is still there when New Orleans has a pick, I think that's who the Saints need to take, because I think he is poised to be the next, or I'm not going to say the next. I'm not going to give comparisons, but I think that of these top 5 quarterbacks, I think that he's going to be the best one.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, I like
because
Dalvin Cook at 10 to the Colts.
Yeah, I just saw that too. Frank Gore's going.
Yeah, but he's actually having a decent year.
Frank Gore's going to have another
couple years.
Yeah, a couple thousand yard rushing seasons again.
Before we leave,
he's doing
I really like what I saw right there at number 5. Jabril Peppers going to the New York Jets.
Yeah,
I think that's
strengthening
actually
up that defense even more.
Well, actually, I think Jabril Peppers will be used on both sides of the ball in the NFL.
Yeah, I hope so.
Because I'm not going to say I ever watched Charles Woodson because I was too young to watch him in college.
Right.
And the same with Desmond Howard. But what I see in Jabril Peppers is that for a couple years he can definitely play on both sides of the football.
Yeah.
And he has the speed of anybody in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
And he'll just get he'll get faster as he goes into training camp. So, all right. So, let's transition from the draft to the actual NFL. And let's go ahead and let's talk about the playoffs and how it's coming. It's coming. The playoffs are coming fast.
Playoffs.
And this is something I've thought about. Hey, Zach, while we talk about this, bring up the NFL standings right now. And
power rankings.
No, just standings. Let's look at the standings.
Ooh, Jamal Adams to Denver.
So,
him and TJ Ward back there.
They're getting sick.
Okay, look at this. All right, so if you look at this, in the AFC, you have the Patriots. We're talking about the playoffs right now and how
playoffs.
I think it could be this could be an interesting point. And I'm comparing the NFL playoffs to the NBA playoffs of how it's put together. And you have the divisions here in the NFL. And so if you look at the AFC South, you have the Texans and the Colts and the Titans all tied for first place at 6-6. But then you go to the AFC West and you have the Raiders having the playoff spot right now 9-2. The Chiefs going to get the wild card at 9-3. But then Broncos 8-4 with probably one of the best defenses.
Broncos would still get in.
No, they wouldn't.
Yeah, they would.
No, they wouldn't.
Yeah, they would.
Because, JD, the Chiefs, if they don't win the division, they get the wild card. Because they have a better record.
And they've already beat them.
There's 2 wild cards.
Yes,
doesn't mean it doesn't matter if you're from the same division.
They would have to play somebody for the wild card, right?
What it is you take your division winners, and it doesn't matter if you're from the same division.
Right.
This happened last year with Cincinnati, or 2 years ago with Cincinnati. Baltimore made it in while the Steelers won the division.
Okay. Well, let's just say if the Steelers were actually 9-3. Say they're 7-5. I'm just using this as an example.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
That the Broncos, who have the best, would y'all agree, have the best defense in the league?
Yeah.
Okay. They would not be able to get into the playoffs, but then the Texans, who are at 6-6, who have a extremely awful $72 million quarterback and a very inconsistent defense, and they go instead of the Broncos or the Steelers or even the Browns in that case. I'm just kidding, but. When I look at the NBA, I see that they have the best record. They don't have divisions. They have the best record. And it's like, what is it, the best 6?
Well, okay, let me correct you on that, Dylan. When it comes to basketball playoffs, like last year I think it was, the Portland and Memphis. Memphis had the better record than Portland, but Memphis didn't win their division, so Portland got the home court advantage over Memphis.
Yeah, but Memphis still made the playoffs.
Yes. Okay. If you're wanting to do this, why don't they make it like the NBA playoffs? You take the top 8 teams from each.
I like that top 8 and then division winners get it, because like the AFC West is right now. I mean, there's 3 teams that should make the playoffs, and the Broncos might get snubbed because they lost to the Chiefs. And I like the Chiefs a lot this year. I have a lot of their fantasy players, so that helps. But I like the Chiefs a lot this year. I like that defense. I think Alex Smith is playing pretty well. But, yeah, I definitely agree with you, JD, that top 8 and then division winners get home field.
And I believe that even say a wild card team does win,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that if you win your division, you should keep home field advantage.
Yeah.
Like if you get a wild card spot, you do not get a home game throughout the whole playoffs. Would you agree with that?
Repeat that.
So
I'm trying to think. I mean, I understand, but
say like Denver would get a wild card this year,
right.
and New England's going to win their division. Say they meet up in the AFC Championship game. Denver's had to go on the road the whole time, and New England's been at home the whole time.
Right.
Denver would still have to go to New England because Denver's the wild card team, and New England won their division.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
if it's two wild card teams, better record gets the home game.
Yeah, and head-to-head if they've played.
Yeah. Okay, head-to-head first. If they haven't played,
Right,
then
the better record. Yeah, I like that.
And what team I was going to talk about is not the Dallas Cowboys. Yes, they've won their 11th in a row, but actually the team no one thought was going to make the playoffs, even though they always do, and that's the Green Bay Packers. They've won 2 in a row convincingly, and it looks like Aaron Rodgers is actually back to his normal self, being that bad man that he is.
Maybe.
How about the Vikings right now, who are on a 2-game losing streak in their division, to where, say, if the Buccaneers lose 1 or 2 more games, and the Giants stay where they are, the Packers could get that second wild card spot.
I didn't know the Bucks were on a 4-game win streak.
The Bucks are on
playing
fire
well.
right now.
Yeah,
And like you said, Jameis Winston
right.
I called it this year, Garrett.
So, what do y'all think about the Packers? Do y'all think with the way Rodgers is clicking, but you also have to think about their defense, which is the second, maybe the worst pass offense, even behind the Saints defense. They have the worst pass defense in the NFL. So, how do you think they'd stack up if they keep going the way they are and winning convincingly?
You go first, Judy.
I think they have the offense to gunsling it with anybody, but when you get into the playoffs and you face teams that actually have good defenses and pretty good offenses, I don't think they stand a chance. Not this year. The way that offense isn't clicking on all cylinders like it used to be, and their defense. The reason why Green Bay used to be able to thrive in the playoffs and get home field advantage and be able to go to the Super Bowl was because their defense was so stout, and now it's not there anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, Clay's not. I mean, Clay's having a decent year, but he's not, having.
I always thought he was overrated.
Maybe, he's got other inside linebacker competition.
Like first round draft pick, I'm talking about high up, and get themselves either Leonard Fournette or a very for
Didn't they just pay Eddie Lacy?
Yeah, but
recently.
But what about this though?
Trade him too.
You're talking about the offense, and like I said, the defense is their struggle right now, and like you said, it is at the linebacker position.
But it's also their run game.
But listen, Eddie Lacy, it's fine. Eddie Lacy will get the stats that he needs. He can get first downs. He will plunge it
he can
from 5 yards out. It's just he's overlooked because of Aaron Rodgers, I believe. But the defense, what if the Reuben Foster. What if they trade up to try to get Reuben Foster in the first round, to where you either have him or Matthews switch to an outside linebacker, because Matthews definitely has the speed to do it, and Reuben Foster might. But what if you have those two to where he will develop into a great linebacker? Because we all see what he does what he can do at Alabama.
Right.
So I think Reuben Foster would be a great pickup for that defense, just because they got a great secondary with HaHa Clinton Dix, and a line with. Not Jabril Peppers. Julius Peppers.
Yeah, Julius Peppers. And B.J. Raji hasn't been there this year either. Yeah. He's been hurt. And that's hurt them a lot.
The weakness, I think, is their linebacking set, because Clay Matthews can't do it by himself.
Yeah.
He really can't.
I think, who did it say Jabril was going to – who was the mock? Where was he?
Jets.
The Jets.
Yeah. J-E-T.
I know they have – if Brandon Marshall is definitely unhappy, just – entertain me on this wild scenario.
Happy in New York right now?
Right. Throw Devontae Adams or maybe Randall Cobb at the Jets for that pick, and then they go out and get Jabril Peppers in the top 10, and Jabril plays that nickel linebacker safety, still fine. That defense have a good year going back to Los Angeles where they were expecting something special immediately, and I think Jared Goff is garbage. I don't think that he should have. I feel like I sound like Colin Cowherd right now, but I'm not trying to at all. But I don't think that Jared Goff is going to do anything. I just don't. I don't think that he's going to be the number one pick. Man, I feel bad for saying this because I don't like calling people dumb, but he's so dumb. He's just so dumb. Did y'all watch Hard Knocks at all?
Yeah, I did.
Jared Goff is I don't know
I
don't know what he scored on that Wonderlic, but I can't imagine it was anything higher than a 30.
All right, but I'm sure it's not lower than Morris Claiborne's.
Yeah, and didn't Vince Young score really low too?
Yeah.
Like a 10?
Probably. He went to Texas. So, all right, but another team who their coach says is going to come back, and that's the hard-headed Chip Kelly and the 1-11 San Francisco 49ers. So, Chip Kelly, a person who has not really succeeded in the NFL except his first year
Garbage
in Philadelphia when no one knew in the NFL, no one was really knew how to, I guess, cover his type of offense. And
right.
The next year, it's dead, and then he brings it to San Francisco, and when it changed for San Francisco, and boom, they're 1-11. So, in Oregon, University of Oregon's putting up $10 million a year for a head coach. Phil Knight from Nike is putting up $10 million a year for a head coach, and he's always said he would love to have Chip Kelly back.
Mm-hmm. Go back.
Why the hell would you not take that?
Go back.
Because you've seen...
Save yourself.
Look at this. If you want to use an example, the NCAA. Nick Saban knew, okay, I'm going to go back and succeed. And honestly, I think it would be a better coaching experience because you get to have new people. You get to go out, recruit. You get to go everywhere for free, everywhere in the country to go talk to the top-tier talent in the entire country. Yes, you're in the NFL and you already have the top percent of the top 1% of athletes in the world, but it's just he needs to understand that it's a whole different ballgame, and if he brought his experience from the NFL to the NCAA, like Saban did,
right? I think
Oregon could be back to where they were a couple years ago.
Yeah, I think the biggest difference when it comes to coaching in the NCAA in college versus coaching in the NFL is in college, you're teaching these kids how to be men.
Yeah.
In the NFL, you're already dealing with grown men.
Did you just laugh?
No.
Did you laugh or cough?
He coughed.
Okay, I thought you
I
laughed.
saw his face turn red.
I was like, what are you doing, dude?
But yeah, like I said, in college, you're teaching these kids how to be grown men. And then in the NFL, you're dealing with grown men who aren't going to react the same when you say some of the things you say to the 18 and 19-year-old kids. So I think that's what Nick Saban said. He said, okay, well, you know, I could probably deal with these grown men. I definitely could deal with these grown men, but my specialty is maturing these guys and getting them ready for this next level.
And also your offensive coordinators.
Right, yeah. Thank you.
All right.
And I think that's the same thing with Chip Kelly. I don't think Chip Kelly really knows how to talk to these NFL players who aren't going to who he can't talk to the same way that he can the 18 and 19 and 20-year-olds because it's just not I don't think he communicates well with these grown men versus the kids who I think he is a good coach and teacher and leader on the college level.
Yeah.
But not on the professional level.
Okay,
at all.
And one thing I want to add to that before we move on is that in college you're not getting paid, you're getting put a scholarship, and in the NFL your ego gets big once you hit that $1 million mark.
Yeah.
So that's probably what's happening right there too. All right, so let's move on to the NBA, and let's go ahead and start off with what JD really wanted to talk about, and that is, what was it? If LeBron and Curry...
all right. Would y'all agree with me that throughout LeBron's career, his rivalries, I would say, would be Tim Duncan and the Spurs?
Well, I wouldn't put that as a rivalry. That would just be as a team he couldn't beat because they didn't talk trash.
Yeah,
but okay, would you consider it a rival though? Like that's who they.
I mean, I consider a rivalry the '80s Lakers versus the
So Magic and
Celtics.
Bird.
Yeah.
Okay, then Paul Pierce, and then in my opinion,
I consider the whole the. I don't want to just single out one of them. I'm going to say the whole big three versus LeBron. Then
Okay.
yes, I consider them a rival. Yes.
okay, then Steph Curry. I would say they've become a rival already.
I think I can somewhat.
Do you think they don't like each other? Have we gotten back to the point of 80s and 90s basketball? Where
No,
they
no,
don't like each other?
no.
Okay, let me talk about the 80s and 90s. I read the book that Magic Johnson and Larry Bird wrote together. Amazing read. LeBron and Curry. Curry, I think he respects LeBron because LeBron, honestly, is the greatest ever.
He's a
played
monster,
game.
yeah.
Him and Jordan are the greatest ever played a game. You can't compare them because they were different types of the league, basically. But Curry was probably the greatest. That's going to be LeBron's greatest feat, which might actually put him past Jordan in some cases. But, then people will say, oh, Jordan didn't get down 3-1. I don't care. He came back 3-1 against the Golden State Warriors, and he had that epic block toward the end of the game. But then, he has even when this next season started, he has a Halloween party, and one of his props on a drum set or whatever, it says 3-1 lead. And it has a bunch of dead skeletons. So he's throwing shade at the Cavs. After he beat the Warriors, he's wearing a hat that shows the little frog drinking the tea.
Yeah.
Kermit.
So Kermit the Frog drinking the tea. So he gloats about it. And yes, I know he has all this pressure to win it. And then whenever the media is on him, he's going to show that he's happy. But I think that's the reason why after this year of win, because I don't see how it's not going to happen with the third straight Cavs Warriors series. But if
That's
that
2 out of 3.
happens, okay, right now the Warriors are flipping pissed at the Cavs, and I think it has to do with what LeBron's doing.
Yeah, and I think they have every right to be because
Exactly.
after they won, like you said, they didn't say a word. Steph Curry didn't come out with a Kermit the Frog hat on. Steph Curry didn't have a party with a we beat the Cavs.
Warriors fan, Cavs fan.
Well, we talked about this last time. I'm a Steph Curry fan. I'm a Houston Rockets fan. That's my team.
Yeah,
Go Rockets, Red Nation. But Steph Curry's my favorite player in the NBA. But yeah, I think that it's them talking trash, and I don't think they have any right to because yes, they had some injuries, but they still had the rest of their key players. They still had the rest of their role players who were very, very, very good and very capable of winning. And if LeBron is, I know that he's had the team on his back for so long, not necessarily in Miami, but even before Miami, he did incredible things with that garbage Cavs team, took them to the playoffs, took them to the finals.
6 games, right?
What, when they lost?
Yeah.
The first time?
Yeah.
They got swept.
Swept.
They
Did
got
they really?
swept by the Spurs, yeah, back in 07.
Oh no, I thought you were talking about the Warriors, the first Warriors series.
Yes,
Oh,
it
no,
was
that was
6.
6.
Okay,
Yeah, that was
okay,
6, my bad, yeah.
I'm sorry. When you said garbage Cavs team, I thought you meant like in the playoffs that year.
I don't think the Warriors look at it as a rivalry just because they're just not like that. That's just not the kind of team they are. That's not the kind of guy Steve Kerr is. He's not one to say, "Oh yeah, we're focused on these guys. We're only worried about them. We're only looking forward to the."
Have you not heard what Draymond Green has been saying?
Okay.
But
I was gonna bring that up.
Draymond's different from Kerr,
Steph to
Clay,
Steph. No,
Steph,
he's different
KD.
from Steph.
KD's not the same. Clay's not the same. Steve Kerr's not the same as Draymond.
KD. Okay, I'll make a point
He's
after
not-
you're
okay,
done talking.
yeah, but
I will
you're-
make a
you're-
point when you're done talking.
You're
Go ahead.
mad. You're mad that he left OKC, and I understand that. You have every right to be because I would be insanely upset about that. But KD's not a trash talker. Yeah, if somebody asks him, "Oh, what do you think about Russ?" He's going to be like, "Well, I mean, I don't care. I made my decision. Get over it." But that's one thing. He's not the type to trash talk or to gloat after they win. Because if they blew a 3-1 lead, but they were up on them 3-1 in the first place.
Garrett.
Exactly. Okay.
Look. The reason that I think LeBron talks so much about the 3-1 lead, I mean, they did beat the Warriors when they were 73-9, best record in the NBA.
But
Right.
okay, yeah,
And-
but the point.
But they made a comeback on a 73-9 team, 3-1.
Yeah, but the Warriors just beat them the year before, so it's 1-1.
Exactly.
If they would have beat them the year before, that would have been one thing. Yeah, gloat all you want. You beat them twice in a row. That's awesome. They can't be, now everybody's going to say, well, you're going to see on SportsCenter after that, can the Warriors beat the Cavs? But it's 1-1. with or without the injuries, it is 1-1 in the finals, Warriors-Cavs. Okay. And I think this year will determine who the better team is.
I know I said earlier, if the Warriors, I don't see it, there's a reason the Warriors shouldn't make the finals again. They should. But again, to get Kevin Durant, they gave up a lot of their bench, which was a huge factor in the playoffs this year, especially against the Thunder. But
and everybody says they lost all their defense, which they did. They lost a lot. They lost Bogut. They lost Harrison Barnes, who's a very good defender.
Yes.
They lost Spates.
Yeah, they lost Mo Spates. Mo Buckets. That's my boy. But he's doing well off the bench for the Clippers. But Draymond is making a very good case for Defensive Player of the Year right now.
Yeah.
Other than his kicks, which are getting a little out of hand now.
Yeah. I was going to bring him up and talk about. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no, I'm just saying that, they did lose a lot of their bench players, but they still have a very good defense. Clay is a very good defender. Steph is an okay defender on the point guards. He's a little small, but he can keep up with them for the most part. KD is a really good defender. I mean, look at his length. He's as big as a center, and he moves like a shooting guard. Yeah. Zaza Pachulia is a very good defensive center.
That was a good pickup from the ministry.
Yeah, it was, and
great replacement for Bogut.
Exactly, and I don't really care for him that much because he's a little dramatic and likes to hold on to people's arms and stuff when they're coming down. Yeah, I don't like that kind of play. Steven Adams does the same thing. Sorry.
No,
he does.
He gets kicked in the nuts too.
Yeah, well, hey, I just said I don't like that about Draymond at all. I hate that, but I think that I think that they'll beat the Cavs this year, and I think it's a little bit of an unfair advantage. Bless you. I think it's a little bit of an unfair advantage now that they have KD. But hey, they made it happen.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, exactly. But to win a championship, you have a good bench.
Yeah,
that's exactly what the Cavs still have, like they did last year. So it's gonna be interesting to see what they do against. The Clippers actually have a really good bench this year.
Yeah, well, they've always had a good bench.
I know,
I'm sick.
But it's just like
I'm sick of them losing.
But they're playing the way they should have been these past 4
years.
They
should beat the Spurs. It should be Spurs Clippers Western Conference Final.
Yeah, okay. The point I was going to make real quick about the Warriors
Spurs Clippers.
And how you said,
Warriors Clippers.
How you said Draymond's different from everybody else. Well, I look at it as Steph is different from everyone else. Yes, you see Steph, because you're going to get annoyed by the media asking all the questions, and he's sitting back like,
which most players are.
Yeah, and he's a little sassy.
J.R. Smith wore his face mask over his face and was.
That's because he was probably drunk.
He was talking like that. Yeah, he was.
Basically came out and just started trash talking, but of course because LeBron was doing all this about the Halloween decorations.
They're going to defend themselves. That's human nature.
But then Draymond Green saying we're going to kick their bleeping bleep.
Yeah.
And you have someone like that. You have the big brother. That's Draymond Green. Someone who's not scared of the biggest person on the team, I guess you can say.
And I wouldn't say that the other guys are scared to talk trash. They're just his personality.
Then you have Steve Kerr, who's a coach.
Yeah.
He cannot. He cannot say stuff like that.
Right.
He can't. Then you have Steph Curry, a guy who.
But Tyronn Lue did say some stuff in that parade.
Yes,
he did say
again. That's the Cavs bringing the championship home.
And that's annoying. That's unprofessional.
I understand what
that's
you're saying.
Very because you would never see Bill Belichick or you won't see Greg Popovich talk like that.
You will not
wouldn't
see
Phil
the Cavaliers like that.
No, I know, and you wouldn't see Phil Jackson say. You wouldn't see Phil Jackson or Greg or Pop or anybody else say or gloat about them winning. They would give credit to the team and say, "Yeah, we beat a very good team." Not, "Yep, they blew a 3-1 lead. We beat them."
Yeah,
I can't wait till June.
Oh man, me either.
But no, I think
if it happens, can we electric chair that?
Yeah,
every time.
You know what? We really can. We can.
All 7 games.
Yes,
it's going to be a triple overtime game 7.
If it happens,
1-point win.
If it happens, JD, back away from the microphone, please, because you're like blowing into it. But with
hot breath.
But yeah, if that happens, it's going to be amazing. But I think the playoffs this year are going to be very. Gee, put that picture away. We know Kyrie hit the 3 on Curry. Oh my gosh! But Curry would have done the same thing if he was in that position.
Okay, no, he choked in the finals.
Oh my God, Jay.
He's unselfish and gave it to Andre Iguodala. He can't help that LeBron's the best athlete in the world and came over from the
all right, so let's
line
move
and
on.
blocked it.
All right, let's move on.
You shouldn't have started this, Dylan.
What's his 3-point percentage in the finals past 2 years? That's why I want to know.
Well, guess what?
You
don't have it because you don't know either.
It's
so
1-1.
JD, you don't know the stats, so be quiet. I hate. Oh my gosh. Okay, I should not have brought that up. All right, but okay. I was going to bring up Klay Thompson in 60. Yeah, I saw him pumping gas. That's that story. He looked like a turtle from about 20 feet away.
He does look like a Ninja Turtle.
But no, what happened? Yeah, it was very weird. That's for another time. But with Russell Westbrook, JD, do you agree that there's no one close to him right now? It's the way he's playing.
Yeah.
Yes.
No.
And what?
No.
You don't think